I want to have uncomfortable conversations. I want the room to be divided. I want people to be screaming and mad at each other. Then I want them to understand each other. I want to see things from a different point of view. This is Unpopular Opinion.
Greetings to the upstanding citizens, guys. Thank you so much for the love we're receiving on social media. We see you. #up. This is Unpopular Opinion, where we break down uncomfortable conversations, things we ought to be talking about but are not talking about, and things that are under the carpet, we bring them out. So if it's unpopular, you're going to find it on this couch. This today, whatever time you're watching, but this today, we're hanging out with Mbuyiselo Botha. He's a gender activist. I suppose not just gender, but a human rights activist. We're going to hear about his story and why we have decided to bring him here, because, you know, this is the platform we edutain the Black child. Mbuyiselo, thank you so much for taking your time to join us. I want to speak about your voice and you as a human spirit choosing to use your voice for other people. Where does that come from?
Well, I think it has a lot to do. By the way, thank you for the invitation. I think when Ntsiki has a lot to do with how, the apartheid, my own involvement in the struggle against apartheid. The transition wasn't easy, but it was seamless, if you like, in the sense that there was a connection between when women are oppressed, women are denigrated, women are dehumanized. To say, how do we then make sure that the majority of our citizens in this country are liberated? Not from apartheid now, but from us men, with what one would loosely call what patriarchy continues to do to both men and women.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting, Autetang, transition between your work as an activist from apartheid to where we are now.
Yes.
So South Africa is in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
South African women are in trouble.
Oh, yes, big time.
Right?
Big time. And then the sad part when Ntsiki is that we don't seem to have that agency. In another country or in a well-functioning democracy, you would have a state of emergency with how women are continue to be raped. We continuously have these conferences, these sessions, this make us feel good, interactions.
PR.
Yeah.
There's a lot of PR around GBV.
But if you ask me, and doing this work for many, many years, I think we should have moved beyond just talking. There must have been something beyond policy, beyond conferencing, that there should be something when Ntsiki that is practical, that's doable, that each and every Dick, Tom, Harry, or Salamina in this country could be seeing that there's action.
Like, for instance, how there's policing for like the Hawks and the Scorpions, there's policing for white-collar crimes, but we've got a bigger issue with gender-based crime. So why would we not have a Hawks or a Scorpions that's dedicated solely
to focus on?
Right?
Yeah, but then that's a disappointment because, look, remember during the World Cup, you had these specialized courts that were effective, that were working. People would be arrested, would be, prosecuted, immediately without any waste of time. There are women who their cases go, when they report, you don't know what has happened. For many, many years, they continue to go on and on. That is why when Ntsiki, I'm saying that today we should be moving as a country with the speed that you should have 20 years ago or 28 years ago, but you don't see that happening. It's as if we have begun to normalize violence against women and say, but shrug our shoulders and say, oh, it's one of those things, retiring, we move on. Another story happens, we focus on that. You have your Enyobeni, massacre. You have now recently the Orlando massacre or the Sweetwaters massacre. And you have Palafala, people say, but let's move on. There are other important stories. We will see again come the 16 days of activism, come the Women's Month next month, then the focus will be there. What we do, we then move on to another story. We act like you're firefighting, as a country. Yeah.
It's so sad.
It's so sad. It's so sad. It's
sad.
Extremely sad. But also, Ntsiki, something that you and I one day would have to talk about, which may be very controversial, is how do we also not talk about violence that men do to other men?
Yes.
How do we also have normalized that violence?
Yes.
That kima jita, kima auti. Kidding Gangara, this is how men behave.
Boys will be boys.
Boys will be boys. When men hate each other, kill each other, more often than not, for some lousy, nonsensical. Do you know that men kill each other because of the sizes of their penises?
I know.
4-5 I can do this, I can perform.
This is a serious discussion.
This is serious. Men kill each other for those, but we don't talk about those when where do I stay? The size of my wallet. All of those things we don't talk about. And I'm not saying one moment that we should underestimate the violence against women, but we must also get to a point where we say, but hey, men are hurting. And probably that's saying that those that are hurt, they find it easy to hurt others. It's probably true.
Hurt people.
Absolutely. Yeah. And maybe that's why we need to also, as part of the conversation in us as a country trying to deal with GBV and femicide.
Because that's what us women struggle with you men. In relationships, it's the lack of emotional expression.
Yeah.
So it's like you're dating or you're married to a rock.
Yeah.
And then it lashes out at you and then it doesn't know how to. So how are we going to work around normalizing men going for therapy and expressing themselves?
It's when in relationships, when I am allowed to, in fact, be human, because there is nothing that precludes me from crying, from showing emotions, from being vulnerable.
Yes.
But how we're going to do it is when Ntsiki, you embrace me, when you make me, when you reassure me that, look, there is nothing wrong, there's nothing untoward, there's nothing unconventional. When you say, you know what, I'm at my wit's end. When you say that, you know what, I don't have answers. And you're a man. When you say, you know what, I'm at a breaking point. When you say, well, you know what, I need help. I'm going through this mental challenge. When you are able to affirm those emotions, you have a greater role to play as my partner.
Yeah.
So that other men find it easy to hug me and say, but when I'm Mbuyi, it's okay when you don't have money. It's okay when you're unemployed and you feel that you're vulnerable. But when you say these things, Ntsiki, when the partner or other men are able to come and say, but you know what, to affirm you, but also to say, there's nothing wrong about you feeling low. There's nothing that makes you less of a man. But these are not easy things because of how we're raised.
That's what I was about to say.
How we're socialized.
Yeah. If a man starts crying, it's going to be so awkward. You're going to be like, oh my God, what's happening? You're right, exactly.
Yeah, you don't know how to do cheat, but do I bring him tissues?
I know. It's like, oh my God, guys, my guy's crying. It's just like,
he's a wimp. He's
right?
Yeah. And then other women would say, but you know what
I'm saying? Even the provision, the whole, we expect you to provide.
And to protect.
Yeah, and to pay for lunch and to pay for the petrol.
And
we expect that.
And when days are so dark, where do you, look, I live with a disability, was shot in 1986. Who do I protect? Practically, who do I protect with my disability? But these are things that we don't talk about because there's also lots of pressure that is placed on men. Men in school, you've got to perform. It's sexually, you've got to perform.
But that one's important. Father, that one's important.
Yeah. But again,
I'm staying with you.
But when you are about 40, there's difficulty.
No.
But I never thought.
There's technical.
I see there's a young man smiling here. That day, but Zofika Labo now. Hey,
I can't believe this thing that happens to men the older you get. I'm just like, huh?
But also, we're never taught socialize to see. But you need to live and let live and know that this period comes in your life. There's nothing wrong. But it is these pressures when Ntsiki, where you must provide, you must perform, you must protect. There's also in the mix patriarchy. There's also issues of privilege. It's difficult to be a man in the 21st century, and your significant others, when Ntsiki, don't support you. Don't ask these unconventional questions. Don't ask you that, are you hating? Can we do something with you, for you? Because the environment is such that it does not allow us men to come out. I mean, I was saying to someone over the weekend, a simple thing where I would want to go and know my HIV status. A simple thing where I would know after 40, my prostate cancer. Should I go for my, checkup? And all of those things, you are not allowed. And one may say they're simple, but look at women. They do them as easy as...
we are.
Hakuna problem. Not with us.
We even try, we're like, Chomi, look, check for me, please.
Pinch it, but I can't...
So how do we instill that...
I think we must start from an early age. And I'm saying in this country, early age, but we might have missed, the boat, if you like, because we haven't been able, our early childhood centers. We need to go and do these things there. We need to continue doing it there, but we're not doing it because then a lot of men would say, but you know what, in my culture, awukhuluma ngalezi zinto lezi man. Ingane umfana khala, yazindo uhlazo, azongitshela ukuthi, akasebenzi, uyakhala, wenzani uzubhlungu. Ayikho lento le.
So the violence starts from a young age.
Very young age, where you are taught to be it's okay to be desensitized, where your humanness, your humanity gets taken away when Ntsiki, where you are encouraged to be, and I want to use your words earlier, you become a robot, you become a stone. Don't feel, man.
Yes.
When you don't feel, it's imagine. 2 years, you're told that you're a man for all languages. You're a man for
wow. And then your partner is like, hey, where are you?
And then you're calm. Your partner, the pressure even comes from, it's all over. Imagine it can't be easy to be a man in the 21st century. You have nowhere to hide. You can't show your emotions. If you do, you are considered a wimp. A lot of men who you can't even say to another man, hey, I'll smart wrong. Hey, what smart wrong? Because we've even been taught to run away from being gay.
But nani niyazenza, guys.
Oh, no, all right, Kakulu, because I think all right. I can't argue with you. You can come out of this and say, you know what, I want to reject this thing.
Because I remember when I was young, men would hold hands. It was when this westernized education, bourgeois came in, where it was like, oh, are you gay? Are you gay?
Yeah.
And then men started being like, yeah, you're daughter, and I'm just like...
Whether this all comes to, but you're saying what colonialism has also done to us, but how it has also even damaged our cultural, practices and beliefs. Because in the African culture, there is nothing that says that I should not seek help as a man. Yeah. There's nothing. We are in Gundlane. I met my lowest ebb. I need help. Nothing. Probably we also have to not stop to blame what colonialism, what apartheid, all of those, what they did to, in fact, be part of disintegrating the black family. Of black society in general.
Because in our culture, we are based on family.
Oh, yes. So
the breaking of that means that we, as a nation, we're just broken.
Absolutely. And the brokenness continues, where we do this among ourselves, to each other, to one another. We don't seem to stop. Because we have normalized it that it's okay, when look at the rate of fatherlessness in our country. I mean, where you and we know that apartheid has a lot to do with migratory labor system, where men would come from Etujwa, Gauteng.
But now men don't have that excuse anymore.
Oh no, we don't.
So why are men not showing up for parenting?
But a great question, Ntsiki. We're not showing up because some people say you can't give out that which you don't have. I mean, the majority of us, I'm talking to you now, at 60 plus, I've never met my father. And somehow it gets easier to abandon others because you yourself have been abandoned. That old saying that you can't give out that you don't have. I mean, how do you, Tina, it's about trial and error. Where you have never seen what it means to fall in love. You have never seen, where you have a family, where you would have both mother and father. Cuddling, seeing these things. You go out, you learn them outside there. I mean, imagine at my age, I had to learn what is to give love, what is to be given love. So I was raised by an amazing woman.
But even the partners you guys choose when you're talking about love. Yeah. Sorry to cut you off. You're choosing not as you're not choosing companions.
Oh yes.
And that's why you're busy outside so much, because the person you've married is actually not your friend.
Yeah, because you also you pick up these things that, having multi-partners, it makes who you are. You continue to have these openly. You continue to have these, these gaps in your life, emotional gaps. And again, it goes back, you have never been taught or you have not been raised to go back and seek help. So what happens is you want to find it in some ways, and multi-partners becomes one of the ways that you actually look up to, because you have seen men in your life, making these excuses. Either it's multi-partners or it's drinking alcohol or getting into drugs. I mean, all of those things, they contribute, Ntsiki, to destroying you, because you have not been taught that it's okay to have one person be there, love this person, cherish this person, admire this person. So what you do, you seek an affirmation at places that are outside. You don't look at her or at him as your friend, because you are never taught. You have never socialized that, it's okay to have, these, and some would tell you that, look, these one partner, these are Eurocentric thinking. Don't come and impose that on us darkies. They said, monogamy, no, man. They would actually give you examples that, look at the animal kingdom. I mean, all of those things, they go towards ensuring that these things continue. Your brokenness continues because you don't seek help.
So then what triggered you to want to use your voice for specifically women?
Well, I thought that for me is, look, I raising 3 girls. I had a vested interest for them to grow up in a non-violent society.
Yeah.
And what better ways? Because look, it was a selfish involvement for me. It still continues. I don't do it. In fact, I don't do it for women. I do it for myself. I do it for my girls.
Yeah.
That they should grow in a world that looks up to them. Absolutely safe, but also in a world that looks at them as fully fleshed human beings. So I always argue that I have never done gender work for men, for women. I've done it as a selfish project in ensuring that, Sibonganjalo, Latiwe, they grow up in an environment that they would not always have to look over their shoulder. This is what has actually propelled me to do the work I've been doing.
You know what's difficult about it? Is that you will have this great father who teaches you to be a man and how to be independent, but when you get into the real world, it's not like that.
Oh, yes.
And you get abused, if anything, for showing your strength and your independence.
So true.
So how are we going to make this conversation bigger so that it's not in silos and just in this family, and then you come out as the strong girl, and then now you can't get married because you're too strong to be married. You can't get jobs because you won't toe the line, you know? You're too outspoken. How are we going to...
I think Ntsiki, it has to be that... I mean, I remember when we used this, the analogy of, the struggle against apartheid, where you'd have, we used to have what one would call your defense units or your strategic committees. But what am I saying? I'm saying that for us, to normalize it has to, you don't have to be only these few men. You would have to make sure that all of us as men.
Because men enjoy their privilege.
Oh yes, and it's easy. It's not easy to challenge that privilege. That's why it can't be easy to challenge patriarchy, because there are benefits, but there are also disadvantages. When you're patriarchal, because then you're not open to new ideas. It's an oppressive system. I've just given an example where it's a system that's when you are at your lowest wit's end, it says, no, you're strong. When you are weak, there's that voice. I've always compared this system.
It's toxic.
But not only toxic to those that you consider to be your significant others, but also to yourself. I've never seen, Ntsiki, a system when you know that, look, I am hurting, but there's a voice that says, but no, go on.
Don't cry.
Yes, I've never seen such a system. That's why I always compare it to how apartheid. A system that empowered white people purely and simply because of their color of the skin, nothing else. The same as a system of patriarchy is purely based on just a penis. That's what makes...
I know, right?
That's what makes you superior.
Right?
Nothing else.
Do you know how frustrating it is to have a vagina and to be clever and then to be in a room where someone is ahead of you because of a penis?
And it's not easy.
Do you know how frustrating that is?
Well, I can imagine, because...
Wow!
I can imagine. Now, when Ntsiki, and how do you talk? You can't talk against the penis, because if you talk against the penis, it's as if you are a sellout. As a man,
as a fellow penis,
when you're supposed to enjoy, the benefits accrued to you purely and simply because of this piece of protruding flesh. Sometimes it doesn't even work.
Do you know how frustrating it is for the vagina? This
when it doesn't work, or what?
That too, especially that.
You need to be specific. Which one? When it's not working, or when it works well?
Please don't traumatize the female audience. We don't want those flashbacks. Were you like, I wish I could take back my vagina?
I hope I'm not traumatizing you and the female audience. But,
you know, I wish men would. This famous men's conference, why do you keep joking about it when it's such an urgent?
But you know why? Because when Ntsiki, we don't want, and this is how you deal, somehow, this is how we as men deal with these serious things. Because we make it, we turn it around as a joke, because we don't want to have these conversations on who we are, why we're doing things that we do. So what you do, it's easier. Look, as men, we never talk about issues that earlier on I'd raised. About prostate cancer. We never talk about HIV status. You never talk about sexual dysfunction. You never talk about unemployment, But look at women, they talk about the hard stuff.
Yes.
But Tina, you talk about cars. You talk about football. You talk
about where your penis was at.
Absolutely, but you also talk about what am I wearing? Do you know where am I staying? And these are easy things. They are easy things. As a result, when you talk about the men's code, you joke about it because you know that you can't hold one another accountable, responsible. So the easiest thing is to talk about, those are easy things. Then you get patted in the back, But how many of us would say, oh, Jack, what's working? You know what? I don't know what we're going to eat. you know what, akispani, and things are bad, I've got to do this and this and this. But look at what women do. There's a thing they talk about, where solutions come in there. But for me, I get patted in the back that for things that are not substantive, the things that are not building me. You know, I go in there, my ego, you know, has been, well, it has been, what we have brushed it and what out here would, wingangara out to Ugrande when we are also again, Satumela Medina, are you vurvaima? So the men's conference, if you ask me, and I'll tell you what, we're going to have it a serious one. We're going to have it.
We need it.
Oh, no, we're going to have it with and there's also an avalanche of men out there who are talking about the need to have a serious one, and not these the joking part of it. The beauty about this is that when Ntsiki, controversial as this, but you find that there's a dire need, even among men, among young people who are actually of the view that, look, we must treat this in patriarchy with its ugly attendant consequences. There are men, as we speak, who are of the view that, but this thing a patriarchy, because you are oppressed and rule. This is what sexism is about. This is what racism is about to those that are beneficiaries of it.
How are we going to, one big issue for me, how are we going to deal with men who are friends with men that beat their partners?
We've got to call each other out. But that's not easy. I think how we're going to call it, we're going to call it out or make it normalized is when a lot of us sufficiently feel comfortable that, you know what, it's okay to call him out. When he makes success jokes, it's okay for me to, then other men also finding it okay to support me.
What's with the sheep mentality? The irony is that you guys are like, the man is the head, I'm the leader. But here you are now, you can only make decisions in caucuses. What is that?
Well, it's how we also find these caucuses as safer spaces that, you know, where when he makes or sends.
But that shows the weakness of the man.
Absolutely. That's why then we have to. Those conferences that you talk about, that's why, we have to continue to talk about those challenges. Because you're right, they make us, we look weaker, we are vulnerable, but these are spaces that we feel more protected, more comfortable, because they're not out there in the public glare. But now,
But these spaces are quiet. These spaces are not calling out the rapists. They're not calling out the abusers.
Oh, no, yes, that's true. But that's true, and that, which we can do more. But it's your programs like yours that when Ntsiki, we need to talk about these things and much more. We need to normalize them. They should be everywhere. That a boy must feel okay that, you know what, I have shared my frustrations. Without him feeling that I'll be lampooned, I'll be vilified, I'll be condemned. That this boy would feel okay that it was okay. Other men came to embrace me. For these positive
other men and women.
Yes.
Because men also need to normalize powerful women.
Yeah. But you also can help us as women, where when the world thinks that I am unconventional or I do things that are not in the mainstream, when you come in and say, but it's okay, the fact that Mbuyiselo came out and cried, the fact that he came out to apologize, the fact that he called other men, you can also in some way affirm those actions that other young up-and-coming boys or girls would know that, oh, but this is normal, you know?
But the more progressive women do create a safe space. You'll find that ignorant thought process maybe in the lower spaces, where it's like, oh, we're not that, but more educated women have created a safe space. Where to from now? Because men are still not coming into the safe space and building with us.
I think where to from now, it's continue. The aluta continue, the struggle continues. We should never tire, because it has taken ages, centuries, for these entrenched believes on patriarchy. It's not going to be a marathon. Well,
yeah, so as long as you guys protect each other,
it's going to be a marathon. I mean, we still don't talk about young boys who dies in the mountain. All of those, how culture continues to oppress us as men, to demean us as men. And what we do, we pass on those practices to women. We've been demeaned, we've been hurt, we've been frustrated. What we do, we pass it on to women. Take it out on women. So I'm just saying to you, Ntsiki, to answer your question, where to from now? It's that the struggle continues. We can't just be at the place and say that, post-1994, all is well. In fact, as I said earlier, we need to get beyond your 16 days, beyond your Men's Month, which we don't sufficiently celebrate about men,
When is Men's Month?
Well, there's a lot of men are talking about...
It's men's world, men time all the time.
Yeah,
so I don't know, you guys are like... As you're sitting here, you're like, I'm a victim. We're such victims, men are such... And I'm like, women are dying.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're dying, killed by men, rather.
Yes.
But also what is important, I've said earlier, men are also dying, being killed by other men.
Men are scared of men themselves.
Oh, yes. But that is why then, again, to go back to your question, where to? For me, when Ntsiki is a continuous dialogue of these things, let's make them fashionable. Let's make them fashionable. I mean, I should come to your show and just burst into tears and cry.
Please.
And well, there's no reason now to cry. I will not cry. I don't want this also to be seen like we're acting,
Okay, fine. It must be real tears.
Real tears, So that why normalizing it with Ntsiki is that and for me, it's a serious thing that when we normalize it, you also are empowering that boy.
I agree.
You are empowering Ubonga, you are empowering Utapelo, you're empowering Andile. That it's okay, man.
So there's often these gender roles that get assigned to us by I don't know who, because
the society.
Right?
Yeah.
So I want us to unpack that and how they work for us or work against us. Because I remember being a young girl and being frustrated at the fact that I'm expected to be in the kitchen and domesticated, whereas my interest was somewhere else.
Yeah, but I think I like this. We always confuse when you say, a lot of people think that gender is sex, when in fact gender is the socialization. The social construct, when gender is about these different roles, and sex is your with a binary, intersex, heterosexual, homosexual, and those are sex. But then gender is about how we are given these roles to perform. But by the way, we're not born into them. We're not born into these roles. These are roles that, as I said earlier, they are assigned to us. But guess what? Who in fact ensures that we stick to them? Unfortunately, are women who'd make sure that this boy, he's the youngest, or he's the eldest, but this boy is expected to go out.
But is that not because men abuse their physical power over us?
Well,
then you would be beat into submission. Basically.
Oh, that's true. That's true. But the point I'm making, Ntsiki, is that these roles are roles that we are not born into them. None of us. There's no one who's born to clean. I've never seen umuntu athi yazini le vagina clean the best, or the penis polish le cara the best. These are roles. These are things that we have been, we've been taught.
It's amazing how these sex organs have been given roles and activities, and it's like, but this is just to make a child and to have fun with it.
Yes.
Now it's like I have to do all this stuff because of this thing.
So I'm just saying that what can we do? I think both men and women, we have a role to say and to be conscious that, I see human beings here. Well, some may say it's look, Mbuyiselo, you are being Ethiopian. Look, Mbuyiselo, it's a pie in the sky, you know. Look, Mbuyiselo, you are dreaming. In the real world, these things don't exist. Some people would say, and I'll grant them, I'll hear them, but it's about us to begin to say, we can, when I look at that boy, I should see a boy who's capable to clean, who's capable to iron, who's capable. The one thing that he's not capable of doing is childbearing. But child rearing, you know, that's when these roles, they move us from emotional connectedness. We always think that raising children is a preserve of women only. When I can do a lot in raising my sons and my girls, I can do a lot in doing homeworks with them. I can do a lot in bathing them, you know, all of those things. And the value is that then emotionally I get connected to them. For me, when Ntsiki, is that we must begin to even question, interrogate these gender norms, these gender roles, that these things are, we've learned them, we can unlearn them.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the justice system and in terms of how it works for issues like rape and abuse, you know. So how it works for, because I have found that the more financial muscle you have, the more likelihood you'll succeed in a court, the law of court. And I want us to unpack when you say rape victims must go to the police.
Yeah, very sad. I mean, just the one thing to talk to actually respond to what you're saying. I mean, it's a multifold type of question. But when Ntsiki, one of the things is that there is a feeling out there that women who are in the majority victims of sexual violence, rape, don't get justice as like yesterday. And this, you have to, I mean, the issues of police, how, I mean, the DNA, I mean, the testing, how it's impossible done. Yeah, all of those, how it's they take long.
Expectations of a victim.
Yeah, that's one part.
That you just like...
Yeah, but also where women would feel, but now, why do I go to the police when, number one, statement may not be taken correctly, properly, number one. Number two, that the DNA test... Oh, yes. You may be asked questions that are intrusive, questions that are inappropriate, you know, because police behind that counter were not well-trained. You have, I mean, these centers, you'd have the victim empowerment centers. They are not well-resourced. They don't work well. Now, that's one part. The women would say, from afar, and said, but what's the point of reporting rape? What's the point? Because there are these obstacles. That's number one. But then you even move further and say that now it's before the court of law. And there's a view out there that when you are moneyed, when you are well-resourced, chances are that you may get off scot-free. Yeah. But also we've seen that they've also, I must just say that in this platform, there have been, cases where the justice system has come for women. There are instances where, after many, many years, this woman has been raped. Reports now, justice is done. I mean, you can quote. Who's this guy who was recently convicted and raped? I mean, you have your Bill Cosby. You also have the guy who sings.
Yeah, in America, you're getting a lot of that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying,
to come here also.
Coming back home, I'm just saying that they are also. We are not there yet, but you have had justice system, sentencing, many, many years, though others argue and say, but you see, Mbuyiselo, is that this person gets life, but after 25 years, this person is entitled to parole. This person comes back. But also there are instances where the system has failed women, in that the same person gets parole, goes back, and does the same thing. In Mpumalanga recently, you have that instances, a young girl was raped, but the same person who got paroled came back and did it again. So I want to say that you have the bad and the good. Unfortunately, the bad are more especially in the justice system that women have to deal with every day. But again, Ntsiki, I don't think for me where I am that one has got to give up hope. I think if you ask me, what do we then do? I think it's important where our judges, our magistrates, our prosecutors, there's training. There has to be training. I mean, there are things that...
But they're also being bought, allegedly.
Well, allegedly. I wouldn't...
Allegedly, they're being bought.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't say this. But for me, is that there's a need for education. And I'll tell you why about education, especially when it comes to gender. I mean, there are things that... I mean, one magistrate said something like, you know what, you will meet in Tangazako, you'll meet your peers in jail, where you promote violence. But this guy, the magistrate, does not see anything wrong. Or there are some judges who'd say things that are outrageous. A judge would say, you know what, I think this man, has no propensity of raping. There are instances where, as if you are written that Lorna can rape, Lorna can't rape.
There was even, I think, the case with Ngu Atobi where he said because they were cuddling, then it's not rape.
Well, I think he was responding to the law, what had happened when he was an acting judge. I mean, complicated as it was, but all he had done, I think, in defense of him was to speak to what the legal act said then, which constrained him, because all he was doing was responding to what the law had said.
But the problem with the law is that there's the law and how the law works, but then there's reality.
That's when Ntsiki, that then you need that training. There's also the need for the spirit of the law. That there are certain things I have to be conscious of, sitting there in judgment. There are certain things that I can say, I can't say, even when the law says this. But those things would have a lot to do with my own training. Because look, we are creatures of what happened to us yesterday. I mean, none of us, you just come again out of the vacuum. We are what we are today because of what had happened to us yesterday. That's why it's important for us to this ongoing training. I mean, about issues relating to sexual offense, relating to women in the world, relating to patriarchy. How I, as a male sitting there in judgment, I bring my own colored glasses, how I view the world because of how I was socialized, how I was raised. So I'm just saying that we should not give up. We should not give up, but we must always continue and Ntsiki that, look, justice system, there are a lot of instances where it has failed women. It continues to fail women. But that does not mean that we have to throw our hands in despair, or we have to throw the baby with the bathwater. And say, because there are individuals or instances where the law has failed women, let's just forget about it. I think it's important for us to continue asking difficult, unconventional questions.
How are we going to make a change then?
Unfortunately, again, I go back, Ntsiki, we will be able to make change when we are at a point where all of us realize, or all of us acknowledge the need for this ongoing dialogue, the training, but also on calling each other out as men.
Yeah.
There's nothing that stops us when there are instances where justice has not been done. It's how we do it. Because I want us to avoid a situation where we undermine our justice system in the country. Because when you do that, there would be a slippery slope. Slippery slope in the sense that we may get to a point of ungovernability. And for me, the beauty about this country is that between us and anarchy and a failed state, we have a strong judiciary system. And we must be grateful we have a strong judiciary system that is between us and being a failed state. Well, others argue that we are already a failed state or we're moving towards being a failed state.
Do we have a strong judiciary or do we have a captured judiciary?
I think that, and I bet you a penny to a pound that a lot of people would agree with me. We have a very strong, independent judiciary with attempts to insult, with attempts to undermine it. But it's like I said, it's standing strong. And look, if Ntsiki, I shudder to think where we would be as a country now had we not have, or did we not have men and women in the judiciary that we have who work under tremendous pressure. Pressure that, people make demands. The insulting, there were instances where ANC leaders would make outrageous comments about judiciary. But what I've seen happening is that they keep on going. I want to emphasize with Ntsiki is that between us and this slippery slope, and look, if you want an example, look at what's happening in Zimbabwe and other African states, where if you really want to see capturing of the judiciary, look up north and see what is happening. But I sit here confident of, this strong judiciary that we have in our country.
Okay, well, I don't know if I share the same conviction.
Well, the jury is still out.
I'm just like, I'm not sure about our justice system, because there was even that time when a girl came out about a rapist and then she spent the night in jail and he didn't. Then he sued for defamation. It's just, for me, it's tricky because a person can rape and then when you call him out, they sue for defamation and then they can also win.
Look, Ntsiki, I will not sit here and deny that there are these experiences. I will not do that. But what I will also not do is to completely say that there's no good way, there's no good that comes out of our justice system. And I'm saying to you that as South Africans, we have to look not further, look at up north. Look at our neighbor and look at how, in fact, the politicians there had misused, abused the justice system. But with all what has happened in terms of the insults and from powerful figures within the ANC, but the justice system has stand, strong.
The same justice system that you were fighting during apartheid times, are you saying has miraculously transformed in the past 20 whatever years, and now it actually...
No, I'm saying not completely. I'm saying to you, Ntsiki, that there are pockets of, and they're huge, of success. Huge. Okay. And I'm saying that it can't be correct. Otherwise, we would be, we would deny history. 28 years, if you look at our justice system, you can't say, and that would be falsifying history. You can't say nothing has happened. You could say, and I agree with you, if you say, look, we still have a lot to do, I would definitely agree with you. We still have a lot to do, because look at the Constitutional Court. How many women do you have in the Constitutional Court? The majority of citizens of this country are women. You can't say that we've arrived, but you also, in the same breath, you can't say that there are no shining, pockets of success, that transformation is happening. If you say to me, it's slow, I would say definitely yes. If it's not happening with the speed with which all of us should see happening, I would definitely say yes. But also, what our justice system is, it mirrors our society, Ntsiki. You can't say that. You can't say that we have arrived as a country in democratizing this country, in ensuring that our institutions of this country, they reflect the demographics of this country. You can't say we can then fold our arms and say, but you know what, it's uhuru. You can't say that, look, we don't need affirmative action now. You can't say that. You can't say, in all facets, you can't say, because look, go out to the Johannesburg Stock Exchange and look at where are women, where are black men, black companies. You can't say that Johannesburg Stock Exchange has really, really, really transformed to an extent that we can say, we let's fold our arms, let's look at other things. You can't say, when you still have in our country people or organizations that are anti-transformation, that are resisting, you can't say that we've dealt sufficiently with racism. Look at Stellenbosch incident. You can't say we've definitely dealt with sexism. Look at the level of violence in our country. Look at femicide in our country. Look at the child molestation.
This means you're not doing your work, sir.
Oh, no, for sure.
You're not delivering on your portfolio.
No, you're right. We are not doing much. We're not doing.
Things are not shifting.
No, we should be doing much, and that's the challenge. The minute you see, that's why I don't like any comfort zone. I want to, and I agree with you, we are not doing much as a country. Look at where we are in terms of gender violence, where we are in terms of transformation, all of those. And if we acknowledge, and I sit here with you, Ntsiki, and acknowledge that we have not done much in terms of gender transformation, in terms of violence against women, in terms of getting men into this space. We have not done much. And that makes me to be uncomfortable every day. Because the minute I am in a comfortable space, I think that's the minute I will die.
Wow, so we are not yet Uhuru.
No, far from it. No, but far from it. That's why we can't sit on our laurels. We can't sit down. I mean, look at your greatest democracies in the world, America. Look at what continues to happen. I am talking to you now. The Supreme Court in America has reversed.
I know, the abortion.
Unbelievable. And this is a democracy well established, that it's always punted in the world as a model of what it means to be democratic.
To be free.
Absolutely.
The land of the free.
Well, it's okay. But look at recently, look at, and this is again a country that gave the world Donald Trump.
Yeah, but that's where we should have seen, okay, it's going down now. So I'm hoping that we get a bit of caliber of men. I'm hoping next time I see you, there'll be more men like you, because women are in trouble.
Oh, yes. Women in trouble, big trouble.
Women are in trouble.
Yeah, big trouble. But also, I think, Ntsiki, we need to make sure, and I like what you're saying, in that we need more men.
Yeah.
I'm at a point in my life where a lot of my work is to investing in the young people, people who are going to take over this baton, because in 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, I'll be retired. But that means we need another generation, a generation who would know that my physical attributes should not define who I am. Yeah.
Mbui, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. Me and you've got so much chemistry, we could talk for 5 hours, I can see.
But we're always in trouble, both you and I.
Yes, exactly. Please continue getting into trouble. Upstanding citizens, it's been so nice hanging out. Remember the hashtag. Thank you again for joining us and for all the love on social media. We'll catch you on our Twitter spaces when we unpack with our guests on Sunday evenings. It's been a pleasure. Bless up.
I want to have uncomfortable conversations. I want the room to be divided. I want people to be screaming and mad at each other. Then I want them to understand each other. I want to see things from a different point of view. This is Unpopular Opinion.